The huge areas of the world that have never been looked at by archaeology at all. Or if looked at by archaeology, looked at only minimally. Of course, the most important are the flooded continental shelves. And that's why Santa and I spent 7 years of our lives scuba diving all around the world.
Nestled at the westernmost edge of the Saurashtra Peninsula in what is now the state of Gujarat, India, the ancient city of Dwarka offers a narrative that is as rich in spirituality and mythology as it is in historical urban development.
The calculation is that 27 million square kilometers that was above water during the Ice Age is underwater now.
The city's strategic positioning near the confluence of the Gomati River and the Arabian Sea played a pivotal role not just in safeguarding it from potential invaders, but also in bolstering maritime trade and fostering connections with other parts of the ancient world. This geographical advantage, coupled with the city being enveloped by water on all sides, either as a peninsula or a series of islands, crafted a natural fortress that was a challenge for any adversary to overcome.
Most of human civilization has been organized around water, right? And as the water levels change, some of those ancient cities could be completely covered.
We did a lot of diving in southern India, so it was great for her to be able to talk in their own language to Tamil fishermen and Tamil divers and see if they'd seen any weird stuff underwater, which they certainly had.
Moreover, the Gomati River's proximity not only enhanced the city's scenic beauty, but also served as a crucial lifeline for its residents. Dwarka's urban landscape, as depicted in ancient texts, was nothing short of architectural grandeur. The city boasted of meticulously planned streets, a state-of-the-art drainage system, and formidable fortifications, all of which were divided into well-defined sectors for residential, commercial, and administrative purposes.
We know that it's been underwater for about 6,000 or 7,000 years, but the question is, how long before that was it made? How long did it stand there above water?
This level of urban planning and civil engineering sophistication showcases an advanced understanding of city management and infrastructure development, making Dwarka a marvel in ancient urban planning. The city's defensive structures, including a series of gates and fortifications, underscored the thoughtful defensive strategy employed in its construction. These were not merely architectural feats, but were strategically designed to regulate access and provide unwavering protection against invasions. Such architectural and strategic prowess points to a high degree of sophistication and indicates that Dwarka was a city that blended beauty with brains, making it a formidable entity in the ancient world.
You're coming across statues underwater, you're coming across columns underwater. It's just magical in diving on an underwater city.
Diving into the depths off the coast of modern-day Dwarka in Gujarat, India, archaeologists have embarked on marine explorations that have significantly advanced our understanding of the ancient city's grandeur and the sophisticated civilization that once flourished there. These underwater explorations have brought to light submerged structures, stone foundations, walls, pillars, and steps that many believe were part of the legendary Dwarka, a city of immense importance in Hindu scriptures. The discovery of such elaborate underwater architecture points towards the advanced engineering and construction techniques of the time, hinting at a society that was far ahead of its contemporaries in terms of urban planning and infrastructure development. The use of modern technology, including sonar scanning, diving explorations, and underwater photography, has been instrumental in mapping out the submerged city, providing us with a clearer picture of its complexity and the scale at which it operated. But the revelations don't stop at structures. A plethora of artifacts unearthed both from the seabed and land excavations near Dwarka tell tales of a culturally rich and economically prosperous society. The remnants of well-laid streets and an elaborate drainage system underscore a high degree of urban planning, indicative of a society that valued organization, environmental health, and the well-being of its citizens. Moreover, the variety of materials discovered suggests Dwarka was a bustling hub of trade and cultural exchange, maintaining connections with other civilizations of its time. This diversity not only showcases the city's economic vitality, but also its cultural openness and dynamism. But perhaps what's most fascinating is the chronological evidence unearthed through radiocarbon dating.
We have to accept that civilization in India is at least 5,000 years old. The largely and correctly discredited notion of an Aryan invasion of India needs to be abandoned.
Some artifacts and structural components of the submerged city have been dated back to the 2nd millennium BCE, aligning Dwarka's timeline with that of Lord Krishna, as described in traditional beliefs and ancient texts. This dating not only cements Dwarka's place as a significant cultural, religious, and economic center in the ancient world, but also bridges the gap between mythological narratives and historical reality. These archaeological findings offer a tangible framework to understand the evolution of urban settlements in ancient India, shedding light on societal structures, trade practices, and the cultural dynamics of the time. As we piece together clues from the past, Dwarka holds a special place in the tapestry of Hindu mythology and Indian ancient history, not just for its divine origins, but also for the mystery and majesty that encompass its story. At the heart of Dwarka's legend is its foundation by Lord Krishna, a pivotal figure in Hinduism revered across various traditions. The epic tales from the Mahabharata and the Bhagavata Purana tell us of Krishna's quest to protect his people from persistent threats, leading to the establishment of this city. It wasn't just a random choice. Krishna was strategic, opting for a location that offered natural defenses and prosperous living conditions for his subjects. Positioned on the western coast, Dwarka was a fortress against adversaries, thanks to its geographical advantages and access to vital sea routes that facilitated trade and communication. This city wasn't just a safe haven, it was a symbol of divine protection and ingenuity, blending spiritual significance with architectural splendor. The story of Dwarka, with its grand buildings and eventual mysterious submergence, captures the imagination, making it a subject of fascination and reverence. Dwarka, often hailed as the City of Gold in ancient scriptures, embodies not just the literal application of gold in its architecture, but also represents an era of unparalleled wealth, prosperity, and architectural ingenuity. This legendary city, with its palaces shimmering with gold and precious stones, grand public spaces, and formidable fortifications, stands as a testament to the zenith of ancient urban development and prosperity. The city's opulence wasn't confined to its material wealth. It extended to its sophisticated design and layout, which were attributed to Vishwakarma, the divine architect in Hindu mythology. Commissioned by Lord Krishna, Vishwakarma's vision for Dwarka was nothing short of architectural brilliance. The planning of Dwarka was meticulously executed, with distinct zones for residential quarters, marketplaces, temples, and public buildings. This segregation ensured that the city functioned efficiently, with each area serving its purpose without encroaching on another. The residential quarters, designed for comfort and accessibility, were likely constructed with not just security in mind, but also aesthetics, ensuring that the city's inhabitants lived in an environment that was safe, beautiful, and harmonious with nature. But perhaps the most captivating tale of Dwarka is its mysterious submergence.
The submergence of those sites is largely because of subsidence of land rather than sea level rise, because it's relatively recent.
Legend has it that following Lord Krishna's departure from this world, the city met its end, swallowed by the sea. This story isn't just a pivotal chapter in Hindu mythology, marking the end of an era and the onset of Kali Yuga. It has also piqued the interest of archaeologists and historians. Their underwater explorations near the modern city of Dwarka have unearthed submerged structures, offering a tangible link to the city's legendary past. These discoveries hint at the existence of a significant settlement that might have gradually succumbed to rising sea levels or other catastrophic events, giving some historical backbone to the mythological tales. The submergence of Dwarka is often seen through a symbolic lens, reflecting on the ephemeral nature of wealth and the inevitability of change. It reminds us that even the most splendid creations, no matter how grand or well-built, are not immune to the forces of time and nature. This story, rich with historical intrigue and mythological depth, continues to enchant and provoke thought, bridging the ancient with the present and the mythical with the real.
The Andes, implacable, eternal. For centuries, they have stood silent sentinel over secrets whispered on the wind. Secrets of empires built and shattered. Secrets of a hunger that drove men to the edge of madness. November 16th, 1532, Cajamarca. Here, in the shadow of the mountains, the Inca Empire, a civilization that had touched the sky, met its brutal end. A handful of Spanish conquistadors, led by the iron fist of Francisco Pizarro, brought an entire people to their knees. 5,000 Inca warriors, unarmed and defenseless, Atahualpa, the god king, captured. The sun had set on the Inca world. But for Pizarro, the conquest was only the beginning. His eyes were fixed on a prize far greater than empire: gold, the legendary riches of the Inca, a treasure that would make kings weep with envy. They plundered temples, melted down sacred artifacts, stripped bare the very soul of a civilization. Mountains of gold, enough to fill the holds of 1,000 ships, flowed back to Spain. But even as they gorged themselves on Inca treasure, a new whisper began to circulate, a fever dream that gripped their hearts. A tale of a city forged not of stone, but of pure gold. A place where the very ruler was bathed in golden dust. A king they called El Dorado, the Golden One. This was no mere legend. They had seen the proof. The Muisca, masters of gold, and a sacred lake high in the Andes, Guatavita. Here they witnessed a ritual beyond imagining. A new chief, naked, coated in gold from head to toe, offering treasures to the depths. Before plunging into the icy water, a living god reborn. This is the story of El Dorado, the most famous treasure that never was.
The Andes Mountains, jagged and imposing, stand as silent witnesses to a pivotal moment in history, November 16th, 1532. On this fateful day, the seemingly invincible Inca Empire, a civilization that had flourished for centuries, crumbled before the might of a small band of Spanish conquistadors. Led by Francisco Pizarro, a man driven by an insatiable hunger for wealth and glory, the Spanish captured Atahualpa, the last Sapa Inca, the emperor believed by his people to be a living god. The ensuing massacre of 5,000 unarmed Incan warriors in Cajamarca was a chilling display of European military superiority and a brutal prelude to the systematic dismantling of an empire. Pizarro, however, was not merely a conqueror, he was a plunderer, his eyes fixated on the legendary riches of the Inca. Gold, in quantities that staggered the European imagination, adorned the temples and palaces of the Inca. As Pedro Cieza de León, a soldier and chronicler of the conquest, wrote in his Crónicas del Perú, "In one of these palaces, there was a garden in which the earth was lumps of fine gold, and it was cunningly planted with stalks of corn that were of gold, stalk, leaves, and ears." This vivid description highlights the sheer abundance of gold that fueled the Spanish frenzy. The systematic looting of the Inca Empire began. Temples were stripped bare, golden artifacts melted down into ingots, and the wealth of a civilization was shipped across the ocean to fill the coffers of the Spanish crown. But even as the Inca gold flowed into Europe, whispers of another, even greater source of riches began to circulate among the conquistadors. These were tales of a city, a kingdom, where gold was not merely a symbol of wealth, but the very fabric of existence. A place where the streets were paved with gold, the buildings constructed from it, and the ruler himself was covered in it. This was the legend of El Dorado, the Golden One. Driven by this intoxicating legend, the conquistadors ventured beyond the conquered Inca territories, pushing deeper into the uncharted heart of South America. They braved treacherous jungles teeming with unknown dangers, navigated the labyrinthine waterways of the Amazon, and scaled the dizzying heights of the Andes, their eyes constantly searching for any sign of the fabled Golden City. They were not merely explorers, they were treasure hunters, fueled by a potent cocktail of greed, ambition, and a near-religious belief in the existence of El Dorado. This belief was further reinforced when they encountered the Muisca, an indigenous civilization that thrived in the highlands of present-day Colombia. The Muisca, unlike the Inca, did not build vast empires or monumental cities. Their power resided not in territorial conquest, but in their mastery of gold work and their complex spiritual beliefs. Spanish chroniclers like Juan de Castellanos were astounded by the Muiscas' skill with gold. In his epic poem Elegías de Varones Ilustres de Indias, Castellanos describes their artistry. They are great artificers of gold, and whatever they make is very perfect. They cast it, they make hollow figures, they solder it with great skill, and they make of it whatever they will and whatever is desired of them. The Muisca created intricate gold objects, tunjos, votive figures, jewelry, masks, and elaborate pectorals, often depicting animals, deities, and scenes from their mythology. But it was the Muiscas' unique ritual at Lake Guatavita that truly cemented the connection between them and the legend of El Dorado. This sacred lake, nestled high in the Andes, was the stage for a ceremony of profound spiritual significance. Gonzalo Fernández de Oviedo y Valdés, in his Historia General y Natural de las Indias, provides a detailed, though perhaps embellished, account. The Indians say that in that lake is a great sum of gold and riches, and that the gold that the cacique, chief, offers is very much. He goes naked, covered only with a paste of fragrant resins, and over this the gold dust is applied from head to foot, as thick as salt is sprinkled on food, and thus arrayed he goes to make his sacrifice. The Spanish, upon hearing these accounts, were captivated. Here, they believed, was the origin of the El Dorado legend. The Golden Man was not a mythical king, but the Muisca leader participating in the Lake Guatavita ceremony. The lake itself, they reasoned, must be a vast repository of gold, accumulated over centuries of ritual offerings. As Juan Rodriguez Fraile, a later chronicler born in Bogotá, wrote in his work El Carnero, this is the ceremony that became the famous El Dorado, which has cost so many lives and fortunes. The conquistadors' logic, though flawed, was understandable. They saw a civilization that used gold in abundance, a ritual that involved casting gold into a lake, and a legend of a golden city. In their minds, these elements coalesced into a single compelling narrative. El Dorado was not a myth, but a hidden Muisca capital. The ensuing search for El Dorado became one of the most epic and ultimately tragic chapters in the history of the Spanish conquest. Expeditions, often led by ruthless and ambitious men, ventured into the unknown, driven by the tantalizing prospect of unimaginable riches. They found gold, yes, but never in the quantities they envisioned. They encountered indigenous resistance, succumbed to disease, and often turned on each other in their desperation. The legend of El Dorado, however, persisted. It evolved and adapted, taking on new forms and meanings. It became a metaphor for the insatiable human desire for wealth and the destructive power of greed. It also became a symbol of the unknown, the unexplored, and the enduring allure of the mythical. Even today, the name El Dorado evokes a sense of mystery and wonder, a reminder of a time when the world was still full of uncharted territories and the possibility of discovering something truly extraordinary.
The story of Atlantis takes us back over 2 millennia to the works of the great Greek philosopher Plato. In 2 of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, we find the earliest known accounts of this enigmatic civilization, and boy, what a civilization it was. Plato describes Atlantis as a powerful and advanced kingdom that existed 9,000 years before his own time, which would place it around 11,000 years ago from today. But where was this supposed advanced civilization located? Plato provides a clue. He describes Atlantis as being situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Now, this is generally understood to mean the Strait of Gibraltar, the passage that separates Europe from Africa and connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. According to Plato, Atlantis was an island nation, larger than Asia and Libya combined. An extraordinary claim, isn't it? The civilization of Atlantis, as described by Plato, was a utopian society, a veritable paradise on Earth. It was divided into concentric rings of water and land, with a palace in the center island. The Atlanteans had access to an abundance of natural resources, including metals, and had a rich variety of fauna and flora. The society was well organized, with a clear division of power. The royal city was a marvel of architecture and engineering, featuring grand temples, palaces, and a central canal connecting to the sea. The Atlanteans were a formidable military power, with a well-organized army and navy. They had achieved a high level of technological advancement, far surpassing other civilizations of their time. However, despite their advanced state, Plato's story tells us of their downfall. He describes that the Atlanteans, over time, became morally bankrupt, their divine nature diluted with human greed and lust for power. As a consequence, the gods decided to punish them, resulting in a cataclysmic event that caused the island to sink into the sea in a single day and night. The story of Atlantis, as captivating as it is relayed to us through a single source, Plato. And because no other records of Atlantis exist in other ancient texts or archaeological evidence, it's been a topic of much debate and speculation for centuries, but the lack of concrete evidence hasn't stopped us from delving deeper into the legend, piecing together theories and interpretations that try to make sense of Plato's account of this lost civilization. Now, let's dive a little deeper and venture into the realm of prehistory. Interestingly, some proponents of the Atlantis was real hypothesis believe that this lost civilization existed during an epoch that predates our current understanding of human history. They argue that Atlantis could have been an advanced prehistoric society, lost to us due to the massive cataclysm that sank the city. The concept of an advanced prehistoric civilization isn't new. Various ancient cultures have myths and legends about a time before recorded history, when humanity, or even other beings, achieved a level of knowledge and technology far beyond what we would expect for the period. These myths often speak of a great disaster that wiped out this civilization, leading to a loss of this knowledge and a subsequent reset of human progress. Atlantis fits neatly into these legends. The city was said to be incredibly advanced, with high culture, sophisticated technology, and profound knowledge. If it existed, it would certainly fit the archetype of a prehistoric advanced civilization. But what do we mean by advanced? The Atlanteans, according to Plato, had a highly organized society, advanced architecture and engineering, complex agricultural systems, and even powerful weaponry. While some of these descriptions may align with our modern sense of advanced, it's important to note that advanced in the context of a prehistoric civilization doesn't necessarily mean they had smartphones and space travel. Rather, it suggests a level of societal and technological sophistication that was exceptional for the time, and that could have been lost or forgotten due to a cataclysmic event. This brings us to the cataclysm that supposedly ended Atlantis. Natural disasters like earthquakes, tsunamis, or volcanic eruptions could have been the culprit. A significant enough event could feasibly wipe out a civilization, particularly one located on an island or coastal region. This isn't just theoretical. We have archaeological evidence of cultures disappearing or significantly declining after major natural disasters. But could such an event also wipe out all evidence of an advanced prehistoric civilization? It's possible, especially if you consider factors like sea level rise and geological activity over thousands of years. However, it's also a significant point of contention among researchers, and a reason why the Atlantis was real hypothesis is met with skepticism in mainstream academia. Whether or not Atlantis was a real prehistoric civilization, the idea certainly makes us ponder. It challenges our perception of human history and progress, and pushes us to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking the truth. So, Atlantis. An advanced civilization, lost to time and sea, or just a moral tale spun by one of history's greatest philosophers? This is the crux of our second segment. The debate over the existence of Atlantis has been ongoing for centuries, and the opinions are as varied as they are fascinating. One viewpoint is that Plato's account of Atlantis was indeed a work of fiction, an allegory intended to convey philosophical and moral teachings. The decadence and eventual downfall of the Atlanteans served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of hubris and the inevitable divine retribution for moral decline. This interpretation posits that Plato used the story of Atlantis as a teaching tool, a vehicle for his philosophical ideas. However, there's a contrasting viewpoint, one that treats Plato's account of Atlantis as a record of a real historical civilization. Supporters of this viewpoint argue that the level of detail in Plato's account, including the geographical descriptions, societal structure, and cultural practices of the Atlanteans, suggest a basis in reality. Some propose that Atlantis was an actual seafaring civilization that was destroyed by a natural disaster, perhaps a tsunami or volcanic eruption. Further fueling the fire of this debate are the numerous theories about the possible location of Atlantis. Over the years, researchers and explorers have proposed various sites around the world, including the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and even as far as Antarctica. One of the most popular theories places Atlantis at the Greek island of Santorini, which was devastated by a massive volcanic eruption around 3,600 years ago. Critics of the Atlantis was real hypothesis point out that there's a lack of concrete archaeological evidence to support these claims. Despite extensive underwater explorations and excavations at various proposed sites, no definitive proof of Atlantis has been found. Yet the search continues, driven by a mix of scientific curiosity, romanticism, and the enduring allure of one of history's greatest mysteries. Whether we'll ever find Atlantis or whether it existed at all is uncertain. What is certain, though, is that the story of Atlantis captivates us, stirring our imagination and our desire to understand our past. And in a way, isn't that what all great stories do? The tale of Atlantis doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It's a thread woven into the tapestry of human history. Interestingly, there are narratives from a variety of ancient civilizations that echo the story of Atlantis in some form or another. These range from the ancient Greeks to the Mesoamerican cultures, and even the Indian subcontinent. But what does this mean? Does it provide evidence of Atlantis's existence, or is it something else entirely? To start, let's discuss the ancient Greeks. As we know, our primary source for the Atlantis story is from the philosopher Plato. However, he wasn't the only ancient Greek to write about lost civilizations. Many other Greek writers and philosophers penned tales of ancient, often idyllic societies that were lost to time. Could these have been inspired by the same source as Plato's Atlantis? In Mesoamerica, we have the story of Aztlan, the ancestral home of the Aztec people. According to their mythology, the Aztecs migrated from Aztlan, a paradise-like place, to the Valley of Mexico. While not an exact match, the story of a lost, idyllic homeland bears some similarity to the Atlantis narrative. On the Indian subcontinent, there's the ancient city of Dwarka, which, according to the Mahabharata, was a highly advanced city that sank into the sea after a great war. Archaeological investigations have indeed discovered ruins off the coast of modern Dwarka in Gujarat, India, leading some to claim a connection to Atlantis. So, what does this all mean? Are these tales proof of Atlantis's existence, or are they separate myths and legends that merely share common themes? It's hard to say definitively, but it's worth noting that stories of lost civilizations are a common motif in human culture. They serve as cautionary tales, moral lessons, and symbols of a lost golden age. But even if Atlantis itself is a myth, the idea of it has had a profound influence on human thought. It represents the concept of a lost golden age, a civilization that reached great heights only to fall into oblivion. It's a reminder of the impermanence of human achievements and the cyclical nature of history. But it's also a symbol of human ambition, the desire to build a society that is prosperous, enlightened, and harmonious. In this sense, Atlantis is more than just a lost city. It's a reflection of our collective dreams and fears, and isn't that interesting? The allure of the lost city of Atlantis has not faded with time. Instead, it has drawn in curious minds and adventurous souls from across the globe. Expeditions and theories abound, each with its own perspective on the possible location of this ancient civilization. Let's dive into the details. In the late 19th century, American congressman and amateur historian Ignatius Donnelly wrote a book arguing that Atlantis was a technologically sophisticated civilization that was the source of all known ancient cultures. He proposed that the city lay in the Atlantic Ocean, drawing upon the name and geographical clues in Plato's account. His ideas sparked a wave of public interest in Atlantis. In the 20th century, Greek archaeologist Spiridon Marinatos proposed that the Minoan civilization, which flourished on the island of Crete and other Aegean islands, was the basis for the Atlantis story. The Minoans were a seafaring culture with advanced art and architecture, and their civilization was devastated by the volcanic eruption on the island of Thera around 1600 BCE, which could have been the catastrophe that sank Atlantis. More recently, satellite imagery and advanced underwater equipment have enabled researchers to search for Atlantis in places previously inaccessible. Some believe that the vast marshlands of southern Spain were once the site of Atlantis, while others propose locations as far afield as the Caribbean or the coast of Antarctica. There's even a theory that Atlantis never existed on Earth at all, but is instead located on Mars. Proponents of this idea point to what they interpret as canal-like structures in satellite images of the Martian surface. It's a far-fetched idea, to say the least, but it illustrates the lengths to which our fascination with Atlantis can take us. While the search for Atlantis has often been criticized as pseudoscience, it continues to inspire rigorous archaeological research and deep-sea exploration, contributing to our knowledge of ancient civilizations and Earth's geological history. Whether or not we ever find Atlantis, the quest for it has led us to a better understanding of our own world.
For ages, scholars spoke of Thonis Heracleion and Canopus, two ancient cities situated near the mouth of the Nile. They were mentioned in texts, hinted at by passing references in historical accounts, yet no one alive had seen them. Their legacy survived as whispers in old writings. By the turn of the millennium, technological leaps made a new kind of exploration possible, and a team of underwater archaeologists embarked on a quest that would change our understanding of early Egyptian history. Before Alexandria's rise to fame, Thonis Heracleion was a grand gateway to Egypt, controlling seaborne trade and enforcing taxes on vessels arriving from distant ports. Its position at the mouth of the Nile made it a natural hub, a checkpoint for merchants navigating complicated trade routes. But if the city was so vital, why had it disappeared? The silence of these ruins suggested something slow and inevitable, perhaps a subtle sinking rather than a sudden cataclysm. Could shifting lands and trembling earth have undermined the city's foundations? When modern surveys began, archaeologists like Frank Gaudio combined ancient texts, advanced sonar mapping, and magnetometers to find traces of the lost landscape. Slowly, stone fragments and monumental statues emerged. Intricate details, previously only imagined, were verified underwater. Step by step, block by block, Thonis Heracleion reintroduced itself to our world. Monuments that once soared above bustling streets lay toppled on the seabed, their carvings still crisp, their inscriptions still telling stories of gods and kings. This metropolis was no minor outpost. Coins, anchors, weights and measures, jewelry and ceramics revealed thriving trade links. Goods moved between Egypt and the greater Mediterranean, blending cultures and economies. Neighboring Canopus, long famed for religious sanctuaries and spiritual practices, emerged from its watery cloak to reveal objects of devotion and ritual vessels. Pilgrims once flocked there to seek blessings and cures. Now, their footprints are erased, replaced by schools of fish and drifting seagrass. What made these discoveries so compelling was the cultural tapestry they wove. Egyptian, Greek, and even Roman elements danced together in the artifacts and architectural fragments. Gods from different pantheons were honored side by side. Temples reflected layered identities, mirroring the fluid cultural exchanges that marked this era of history. The cities were living, breathing testaments to a world without rigid borders, a world in constant conversation with itself. Yet these submerged cities are only one part of the puzzle. Off Alexandria's shores, fragments of what many believe to be Cleopatra's palatial district have also been found. How could we not be captivated by the possibility of wandering through halls the legendary queen once graced? The stones scattered on the seabed may have witnessed royal ceremonies, political intrigues, and romantic liaisons. If we listen closely, can we still sense Cleopatra's presence in these ruins? Preserving these treasures demands delicate expertise. Divers work slowly, carefully clearing silt to avoid damaging fragile artifacts. Specialized teams document each piece before it's raised to the surface for conservation. Museums curate these finds, unveiling them to a curious global audience. Traveling exhibitions bring these relics from the seabed into our modern-day consciousness, bridging millennia. The findings sharpen our perception of how ancient cities breathed, prospered, interacted, and fell silent beneath blue depths. Still, none of this fully answers the larger question. Why did they sink? Theories abound, each more intriguing than the last. Some believe that the soft, waterlogged soils of the Nile Delta gradually gave way under the weight of temples and towers. Others point to subtle changes in climate and rising sea levels that crept in over centuries, pushing waters higher and higher until streets became canals and homes became reefs. Some suspect a more dramatic ending, an earthquake or a tsunami that shook the foundations, toppling what man had built. Could it have been a sudden cataclysm? The debate continues. As we watch the archaeological team at work, we witness a slow conversation across time. Each statue raised from the seabed speaks. Each inscription read under shifting light reveals a hidden chapter. These ghostly outlines of temples and sacred boats, these fragments of columns and shattered shrines, form a dialogue between today's scholars and yesterday's artisans. The archaeological evidence is overwhelming, says Frank Goddio, and each new find helps us piece together more of the puzzle that is ancient Egypt's maritime heritage. This puzzle, scattered across the seafloor, reflects a grandeur lost but not forgotten. Today, researchers question, hypothesize, and unearth, reconstructing a narrative that grows richer and more complex with every find. As we return to our initial questions, why did they vanish, and what did they leave behind? The answers emerge bit by bit beneath the water's surface. The real question is no longer whether we can find these lost cities, but how many more stories, hidden just out of sight, are yet to be revealed.
Often linked to the legendary city mentioned in the Mahabharata, an ancient Indian epic, the exploration of Dwarka is a perfect example of how ancient texts can align with modern scientific discoveries in marine archaeology. Known in ancient Indian scriptures as the gateway to heaven, Dwarka's story is wrapped in deep mythological significance with a rich historical backdrop. It's mentioned across various texts, including the Mahabharata, Bhagavata Purana, Vishnu Purana, and Harivamsa, where it's described as a city of magnificent scale and beauty, crafted by the divine architect Vishwakarma at Krishna's request. According to these texts, the city boasted 56,000 palaces made of crystal and silver, decked with emeralds and other precious stones, designed in 6 well-organized sectors with roads laid in grid patterns and enhanced with numerous reservoirs and gardens. As a bustling metropolis, Dwarka was a hub of profound Vedic learning, music, arts, and literature, similar to the economic and cultural dynamism seen in ancient Athens. The city also holds a mythical status due to its association with Lord Krishna, revered as a deity, king, strategist, and philosopher. This connection brought the city an almost divine repute, with Krishna's opulent palace shining bright, its walls inlaid with gold and precious stones, reminiscent of the mythical city of El Dorado. The city's dramatic end came after Krishna's departure, believed to have been submerged by the sea as a divine retribution by the sea god for the moral fall of its inhabitants, echoing the narrative of the biblical Great Flood intended to purge sin from the world. This cataclysmic event has rooted Dwarka in the collective memory as not only a symbol of prosperity and spiritual wisdom, an ideal society where material riches and spiritual enlightenment coexisted, but also as a cautionary tale of hubris. Archaeological findings over the years have only added layers to its mystique. Excavations and underwater studies have unearthed evidence of what many believe to be parts of the original majestic city. Stone anchors and remnants of potential public buildings or docks indicate a once thriving maritime trade, comparable to that of ancient Carthage, renowned for its naval supremacy. Moreover, the story of Dwarka often draws parallels with the legend of Atlantis, another advanced civilization believed to have met its end submerged under the ocean. Both cities are depicted in their respective lore as victims of their societal ego and moral decay, powerful societies that fell from grace, serving as moral lessons that prosperity can often lead to downfall if not handled with care. The story of the discovery and exploration of the ancient city of Dwarka opens a fascinating chapter in the field of underwater archaeology in India, linking mythological tales to historical evidence through its rich findings. The initial intrigue around Dwarka began as far back as the 1930s, when local fishermen and residents near what is now the town of Dwarka in Gujarat stumbled upon ancient pottery and other remnants either on the seashore or entangled in their fishing nets. These casual discoveries sparked a keen interest among local historians and archaeologists, further fueled by community stories of a grand city that thrived before being swallowed by the sea, tales that have been linked to the legendary figure of Lord Krishna. The systematic exploration of these underwater ruins started much later in the 1960s, when Dr. S.R. Rao from the Archaeological Survey of India took charge of the project. Often likened to Heinrich Schliemann, who famously excavated Troy, Rao brought an interdisciplinary approach to the excavation at Dwarka. He combined traditional archaeology with underwater diving and marine geology, a methodology that was pioneering at the time and set a new standard for underwater exploration globally. This extensive research led to the unearthing of a treasure trove of artifacts dating back to around 1500 BCE, indicative of a once thriving urban center. Among the findings were large stone structures and anchors, possibly used for docking ships. Various styles of pottery ranging from domestic pots to larger storage jars used in trade, and numerous beads made from semi-precious stones, pointing to a bustling hub for trade and ornament manufacturing. The archaeological pursuits in Dwarka gained new momentum in the 1980s under the aegis of the Marine Archaeology Unit of the National Institute of Oceanography, India. These pioneering efforts were groundbreaking, not only for Indian archaeology but for the study of submerged cities worldwide. The detailed mapping and artifact recovery conducted then laid the groundwork for the comprehensive understanding of Dwarka's extensive and multifaceted past, drawing a vivid picture of its historical and cultural panorama. This ongoing journey into the heart of India's submerged heritage continues to shed light on the sophisticated urban planning and vibrant cultural life of ancient Dwarka, bridging the gap between ancient scripts and the tangible past. Exploring the ancient city of Dwarka didn't come without its challenges. The dive sites were beset by strong underwater currents and often suffered from poor visibility, which made the archaeological work particularly difficult. However, Dr. S.R. Rao and his team were determined and adapted to these harsh conditions with remarkable resilience. They developed innovative underwater archaeology techniques that allowed for detailed mapping and careful recovery of artifacts, setting a high standard for future excavations. Every item brought up from the depths was meticulously documented and preserved, creating a methodical record that would aid not just in the study of Dwarka, but also serve as a valuable reference for other underwater archaeology projects across the globe. These practices, refined during the Dwarka excavations, have had a lasting impact on how submerged artifacts are handled worldwide. The story of Dwarka's rediscovery and study often draws parallels with the underwater exploration of Alexandria in Egypt. Both cities were key maritime centers in their time and provided a wealth of archaeological treasures that included massive stone structures hinting at sophisticated urban planning. The work in Alexandria, led by Frank Goddio, mirrored Rao's efforts in many ways. Both teams used advanced diving and submersible technology to unravel the secrets of these ancient cities, pushing the boundaries of what could be achieved in underwater archaeology. Moreover, both cities hold places of deep cultural and historical significance in their respective mythologies. Dwarka as the city of Krishna and Alexandria for its pharaohs, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. These explorations not only shed light on the physical layouts of these once thriving metropolises, but also offered insights into their cultural and historical contexts, enriching our understanding of ancient civilizations. The success of these underwater excavations has also sparked a renaissance in marine archaeology and brought educational and cultural enrichment. The artifacts and the findings from Dwarka have been incorporated into academic curricula and are regularly featured in public exhibitions, showcasing the intricate nature of urban planning and the vibrant cultural life that once characterized ancient Indian civilizations. Diving deep into the chronology and historical context of Dwarka through rigorous dating and analysis of its ruins has opened up new perspectives on this ancient urban center. The use of various carbon dating techniques on artifacts and structural remains from the underwater site has been particularly revealing, setting a timeline that suggests the city's oldest structures might date back to around 2000 BCE. Interestingly, these findings indicate that parts of Dwarka were thriving during what could be considered the mature Harappan period, aligning it with other great civilizations of the time like those in Egypt and Mesopotamia. Excavations have shown the city's development through multiple layers of urban settlement. The oldest of these layers display signs of sophisticated city architecture with advanced urban planning and hydraulic engineering typical of the Harappan civilization. The layers that followed tell a story of gradual architectural evolution and cultural continuity, evident in the changing styles of pottery and city layouts, suggesting a long history of human habitation. However, the exact nature of how these findings correlate with descriptions in ancient scriptures like the Mahabharata has been a hot topic of debate. Some of the unearthed structures loosely match the grand descriptions found in these texts, but the extent of their resemblance is still under scrutiny. Scholars are divided. Some suggest the ruins might not belong to the single legendary city of Dwarka as described in the texts, but rather to a series of cities built and destroyed over various epochs. Further discussions among archaeologists emphasize the city's significant role as a maritime hub. The discovery of extensive fortifications and valuable artifacts suggests that Dwarka was a center for trade, possibly connecting with other ancient civilizations across the Middle East and Africa. This is supported by findings like weights, measures, and ceilings that indicate a well-organized trade system, akin to those observed in ancient Mesopotamian sites. Drawing parallels with other legendary cities like Troy adds another layer to our understanding. Both Dwarka and Troy occupy iconic statuses in their respective cultural mythologies and have been subjects of archaeological studies that blend myth with reality. While Troy's excavations revealed insights into ancient Greek and Trojan lifestyles, the studies in Dwarka have illuminated aspects of late Harappan and post-Harappan cultures in India. The architectural differences are also stark. Troy is known for its massive defensive walls, whereas Dwarka's ruins reflect a preference for sophisticated urban planning and effective water management systems, showcasing different priorities and environmental adaptations between the two. The ancient underwater city of Alexandria, located at the mouth of the Nile River in Egypt, is a treasure trove of archaeological wonders and historical insights. Founded by Alexander the Great in 331 BCE, it quickly rose to become the cultural and economic hub of the ancient world. However, parts of this legendary city succumbed to the sea due to earthquakes and tsunamis over centuries. Diving into the depths of the Mediterranean, Frank Goddio and his team's exploration of Alexandria's underwater ruins stands as a testament to human curiosity and technological prowess. The discovery of this ancient city submerged beneath the sea intertwines the grand narratives of history, technology, and myth, offering a window into one of antiquity's greatest civilizations. The use of state-of-the-art technology, including submersible robots and sophisticated sonar mapping, marks a significant evolution in underwater archaeology, reminiscent of the groundbreaking exploration of the Titanic wreck. Yet, while the Titanic's discovery opened the deep sea to archaeologists, Goddio's project breathed life back into ancient urban landscapes, showcasing the advancements in archaeological methods. The preservation of artifacts and structures found underwater presents unique challenges, starkly contrasting with those encountered in the preservation of the Dead Sea Scrolls. The saltwater environment of Alexandria erodes materials over time, demanding innovative solutions for conservation, highlighting the diverse challenges archaeologists face based on the context of their discoveries. The uncovering of the royal quarters and temples in Alexandria offers unparalleled insights into the Ptolemaic dynasty's architectural and cultural grandeur, drawing comparisons to the discovery of Pompeii. However, Alexandria reveals its secrets from beneath the waves, providing a unique lens through which to view ancient urban planning and religious practices. When compared to other ancient submerged cities like Baiae or Pavlopetri, Alexandria's ruins underscore the city's cosmopolitan nature, standing as a testament to its role as a center of commerce, culture, and knowledge. Alexandria's position as a cultural and economic hub in the ancient world is further emphasized by the diversity of artifacts found, echoing the melting pot of cultures found in Silk Road cities like Samarkand. The discovery of remnants believed to be part of the Pharos Lighthouse, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, underscores Alexandria's advanced engineering and pivotal role in ancient navigation, much like the Great Wall of China's significance in its own civilization. The successful exploration of Alexandria's underwater ruins not only advances our understanding of ancient civilizations, but also inspires further technological innovation in underwater archaeology. This quest to uncover the past mirrors how the space race propelled aerospace technology, demonstrating the impact of historical exploration on modern advancement. Moreover, the cultural resonance of these discoveries, akin to the fascination sparked by the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb, highlights the enduring allure of Egypt's ancient civilizations. Exhibitions of artifacts from Alexandria's underwater ruins have captured the global public imagination. Delving into the depths of the Mediterranean, the underwater excavations of Alexandria have unveiled treasures that paint a vivid picture of a city steeped in glory and history. Among the ruins and relics, a myriad of statues, sphinxes, and architectural marvels whisper tales of ancient Alexandria's cultural and artistic zenith. One of the most breathtaking discoveries is a giant statue believed to depict Ptolemy II, an emblem of the fusion between Hellenistic and Egyptian influences that characterize the Ptolemaic dynasty. Crafted from red granite, this colossal figure stands as a bridge between two worlds, reminiscent of the grand colossi of Memnon in Luxor, Egypt, and underscoring the tradition of monumental sculpture that flourished in ancient Egyptian culture. The seabed also revealed sphinxes and statues of Egyptian gods and goddesses. These findings not only highlight the Ptolemies' efforts to weave together their Greek heritage with the rich tapestry of Egyptian religious symbolism. The sphinxes, majestic with their lion bodies and human heads, serve as symbols of the ruler's wisdom and power, reflecting the broader narrative of Greek and Egyptian cultural intermingling. Furthermore, the recovery of architectural fragments from Alexandria's waters provides a window into the city's architectural prowess and urban planning. Columns, capitals, and friezes bear witness to a city where Egyptian, Greek, and Roman influences converged, creating a unique aesthetic that mirrored Alexandria's identity as a melting pot of civilizations. This aspect of the discoveries draws parallels with the archaeological finds in ancient Rome, where a similar amalgamation of architectural styles speaks to a rich, interconnected Mediterranean world. The excavation also brought to light an assortment of pottery and jewelry, offering glimpses into the daily lives, trade, and artistic expressions of Alexandria's denizens. The variety of pottery, from utilitarian domestic vessels to elaborately decorated ceremonial pieces, suggests a society of complex social strata and diverse needs. Meanwhile, the jewelry, gold earrings, necklaces, and rings, often embellished with precious stones, underscores Alexandria's affluence and its pivotal role in the trade networks that crisscrossed the Mediterranean. These artifacts not only revealed the city's artistic flair, but also its connections to a wider world. Through these discoveries, the underwater ruins of Alexandria continue to fascinate and enlighten, offering a mosaic of insights into one of antiquity's most magnificent cities. When divers stumbled upon a shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera in 1901, little did they know they were about to uncover one of the most astonishing artifacts of the ancient world, the Antikythera mechanism. Often hailed as the world's first analog computer, this device, dating back to around 100 BCE, is a marvel of ancient engineering and scientific knowledge. With its intricate system of over 30 bronze gears housed in a wooden frame, the mechanism was designed to predict lunar and solar eclipses, track the cycles of the Olympic Games, and model the Moon's complex orbit, showcasing a level of technological sophistication that seems centuries ahead of its time. But what's truly fascinating about the Antikythera mechanism isn't just its complexity and precision. It also served as an astronomical and calendar device, capable of calculating the positions of the sun, moon, and perhaps even the planets. It featured dials for the zodiac and solar calendar, embedding celestial phenomena within the fabric of timekeeping in ancient Greek society. Inscriptions on the device acted as a user guide, revealing a profound understanding of astronomy and mathematics among its creators and users. While the origins of this extraordinary artifact remain speculative, many believe its connection to Alexandria isn't far-fetched. Known as the intellectual beacon of the Hellenistic world, Alexandria was home to the legendary library and the museum, a research institution that attracted scholars like Euclid, Hero, and Archimedes. Their contributions to mathematics, physics, and engineering could very well have influenced the creation of the Antikythera mechanism, suggesting it may have originated from this vibrant scientific community. In fact, some scholars posit that the principles behind the mechanism could have been inspired by Archimedes himself, although he lived earlier than the device's estimated creation date. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism in a shipwreck hints at the extensive trade networks and cultural exchanges of the time, linking Alexandria with other Greek locales, including Antikythera. Such connections likely facilitated the spread of technological and scientific knowledge across the Mediterranean. The legacy of the Antikythera mechanism extends far beyond its historical and archaeological significance. It stands as a testament to the technological achievements of the ancient Greeks, challenging our perceptions of ancient technology and highlighting their sophisticated understanding of mechanical devices. Modern scientists and engineers have drawn inspiration from this ancient marvel, leading to new discoveries about ancient science and technology, and even the development of replicas using ancient techniques. Ongoing research, employing advanced imaging techniques, continues to unveil the secrets of the Antikythera mechanism, offering insights not just into the device itself, but also into the scientific and cultural milieu of the Hellenistic period. Through the lens of this remarkable artifact, we gain a deeper appreciation for the ingenuity of the ancient world, particularly the pivotal role played by Alexandria in fostering a legacy of innovation and knowledge that continues to inspire to this day.